All right.
Okay. So we're going to start with the Open Publics Meeting Act notice. This meeting is being held in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Annual notice having been published on or about July 1st, 2023 in 2 local newspapers with a copy on file with the board secretary and a copy to be posted to the TCCS website. This meeting is being called to order at 7:07. The first is the approval of minutes for 10:09 and 11:06. Can I get a motion? A Zoom motion, second. Hallway.
Sorry, I can't connect to the internet.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hold on.
I don't have pens. Share.
Sorry, I'm not sick. It's just a tickle from.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Approval of minutes from 10:09 and 11:06.
The minutes for November? No, hold on, sorry about that. That's what happened. You walked in late. I never got the November meetings. I sent out October.
Send them out.
I sent you an email. I have them. So
You have them.
but on
Okay,
my
got
computer,
it.
so I'll forward.
But yes, thank you. So postpone 11/6.
But I
Okay.
sent them to.
Yeah, you sent them to me. I approve them. but-
11:06.
Okay, so we're gonna postpone 11:06 to next board meeting. Okay, so now the director's report.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Happy December. We're moving along very quickly, it seems, but these next couple of weeks will definitely fly by too with the holiday season upon us. But thank you for taking the time to come out tonight and take care of some business. We do have a couple items to discuss. First of those being the enrollment update. So currently we are filling a 7th grade spot. I know at our last meeting, I did say that we were at full enrollment. That lasted all of a day. But we do have a position that was accepted for 7th grade. So we're hopeful that we'll get all the paperwork in the coming days and be at full enrollment once again. Otherwise, we are, again, like I said, at full enrollment for all other grades. Next, I've got an admissions and lottery update. Okay, so as I mentioned at our last meeting, the deadline for applications, or at least to be included in the lottery for next year, is January 5th. That's the first Friday in January. This Saturday, we're having our second open house at 10 a.m., where we're hoping to have some more of a positive turnout. When we had our first open house, we had more people than we've had in quite a few years. I think people are a little more comfortable coming to these live events and whatnot. So it was great to see. So I'm hopeful that we have a good turnout on Saturday as well. Just a brief update in terms of applications to date. So obviously, we're still going to get several more before the deadline of the 5th, but currently we have a total of 253 applications. In kindergarten, we have 68 applications, and 13 of those are for siblings. So as of right now, unless we get more sibling applications for the coming year, there'll be 32 positions available for incoming students who aren't siblings. But again, that could change before the actual lottery. We're going to be sending out reminders to the community that if they do have siblings, that they do still need to apply if they do intend to have their kids come in kindergarten. But otherwise, it's pretty much spread out. First grade, there's 38 applications. Second grade, 22. Third grade, 26. Fourth grade, 20. Fifth grade, 29. Sixth grade, 23. Seventh grade, 24. And then eighth grade, currently we only have 3 applications for next year. But again, we do anticipate that these numbers will go up over the next couple of weeks before the deadline actually hits in a month from tomorrow, actually. Okay. Any other questions about admissions or the lottery? All right.
Is that higher than usual?
To this date, it's comparable with the last couple of years. We won't have the actual numbers really until the 5th to really do a comparison, but it's healthy. We definitely have more than double the applicants than we have available spots, at least in kindergarten. So that's good. Okay, so the next thing that I have to discuss before I turn it over is just very briefly, I wanted to circle back to the NJSLA results that we talked about at the last meeting that I presented. The one piece of data that was missing was a comparison with the performance rates for the Teaneck Public Schools and how they did as a district. So I shared this with the board a couple weeks ago, but I did want to just publicly put this out there. we do have a lot of things that we obviously need to work on, particularly when compared to our own scores. But it is, a positive to look at this, and you see that for all but 4 assessments, we did outperform the district in terms of achievement rates. And this represents students who scored at or above the expectations for their grade level. So in aggregate and in the average, we did outperform the district. And again, as I mentioned, in all but 4 assessments, we outperformed the district on a percentage base. So the only spots where we actually performed lower than the district, that's ELA grade 6, math grade 7, math grade 8, and then geometry, which takes into account high school level geometry as well. It's not just 8th grade geometry versus 8th grade geometry.
So it's 8.
So it's our 8th against anybody who took geometry in the district. So you have to take that into consideration as well. And in science, we outperformed across the board, which is also a positive. That's not to say that our work is done here. We discussed this at length at our last meeting. There are definitely things that we need to work on. But having the data is very helpful for making those decisions and coming up with plans for assessment. We're going to talk a little bit more about that when we talk about the district goals. But this is just another comparison piece, and from the perspective of the state and the and when we're talking about renewals and things like that, how we perform against the local district is actually the highest metric that they really focus on to ensure that students who are choosing to come here are performing at a certain level, which is preferably higher than that of the district. So that's it for the comparative NJSLA data. Any questions on that? Okay. Perfect. So now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Torres, who's going to give a little bit of an update on events and a couple other things. All right, so.
Hello, everyone. So a couple updates that we have already had. On Friday, we had Special Persons Day for our kindergarten to 2nd grade students. I would like to thank TCCS for coordinating this special event. We also had our first PBIS parties last week. We had lower school on Thursday and upper school on Friday, and it seems like the students had a blast. So that was exciting. Many of us just came from the T-neck tree lighting, where our 5th and 6th grade chorus students performed for about a good half hour, I think it was, and they did amazing. So thank you, Mr. Kaido, for preparing them for this wonderful event. And last but not least, we were just talking about our winter concert, which will take place on December 22nd. So please mark your calendars for that event. And that's in school. That'll be here. Staff and update. We are currently still looking for a full-time special education teacher. We are looking for a maternity replacement for Miss Juliana. We're still looking for an occupational therapist. And like Ms. Anders mentioned at the last meeting, we are looking for an interventionist. And you will see for resolutions today, we are announcing that our secretary, administrative assistant, Shanita Strong, will be retiring. So we have posted that position as well.
I saw that. How long has she been here?
25
Longer
years.
than
Yeah, it's a long time.
So congratulations to Shanita for the next stage of her career and her life. And we wish her the best, but I know that's later. And next is PD update. We had our LinkedIn implementation training on November 15th. Our ELA and math chair attended the training as long as administration. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done, but we have started to use some of the data features. For example, Mr. Gallo used it to present the testing assessment data, and that was taken and helped with LinkedIn. So thank you for that. And we have CPR training on our next half day, which is next week, December 12th. And that's going to be CPR training for most of our staff that need it. And I think that's it. Oh, and then Ms. Anders, turn it over to each HIV update. I think that's next.
You guys got an HIV report from me, well, it's from Ralph from me. Whenever he's got the documents, it's not a confirmative, but it definitely was very appropriate and for the discipline code, and consequences were handed out per the discipline code. And we also got our Care Plus therapists involved to kind of, talk a little bit, mainly with the student who was targeted, to make sure, it's okay. So.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions on that? Good. Move along here. My turn again.
District goals, yeah.
It's a formality.
Okay,
Yeah.
so now we're gonna hear about the district goals from Mr. Gallo.
Perfect. All right. So this is some old business, but as we discussed at the last meeting, the board did ask that I give a little bit more of a regular update when it comes to our district goals, as opposed to just doing one final review at the end of the year. So what we landed on was doing one per trimester. If you're unaware, our first marking period did just end. Report cards are now available in the portal. So at this time, it's a good spot for us to really take a look back at how we're doing with our 5 major goals for the year. Now that we have one semester under our belt. So I'm just going to bring up the goals, and we're going to just kind of walk through them and just talk about some of the highlights as to what we've done so far to achieve these, or the progress that we've made towards achieving them in many cases. I've actually also asked Sonia and Christina to talk a little bit about a couple of these that are a little bit more pertinent to some of the things that they're doing. But the first of those does deal with data and data collection and utilizing that data to improve student achievement. Sonia mentioned a little bit about Linkit and what we've done with that. And that's really the first thing that I want to focus on is what we've done so far with that for the first part of the year. It is a new program, obviously, for us. But the implementation is underway. It takes a little bit of time to really make it part of the culture and part of what we're doing. But a lot of the stuff that happens on the back end has been done, and we're really in a good spot with that. As I mentioned at our last meeting, all of our NJSLA reporting from last year, that whole presentation was put together using some of the data that we got from Linkit, so that was helpful. Recently, the implementation specialists from Linkit met with our department chairs, met with Sonia, met with Christina, and they actually formulated a plan for implementation and moving forward with that so that we can maximize the resource. So after the holidays, we are going to start to actually use it to begin assessments within the system itself. And one thing that we've discovered, even from that implementation meeting, is that once we really get a grip on how to use this Linkit, it's going to be able to free up some of the other resources that we're using, so we're not duplicating our assessment methods. So rather than have students use some of these other software that we're paying for, they could actually do the assessments within Linkit, so we're not double paying. So we're working through some of that, and it's a positive step towards really achieving this goal. So we'll have a little bit more to talk about the next time we revisit this, because we'll have some actual assessment data within the system. But as far as the upfront and stuff that happens in the back end, we're actually in a really good spot with step 1, or goal 1, I should say. Next has to do with improving student discipline and accountability. So I'm going to ask Sonia to talk a little bit about the discipline aspect of that, and I'll comment on the achievement, on the accountability. What's up?
Just to swing back to the Linkit.
Yes.
So you're taking, just so I understand all the assessment data, we're doing Linkit data, we're doing NJSLE data, we're doing our beginning of the year ELA math data, and that's coming from the curricula, the current assessment tools through ELA?
Sorry, I was thinking about what I was gonna say to you. The last thing you said was benchmarks, or like the growth measures, that's coming from our curriculum.
Okay.
And then we're doing iReady.
iReady. So are all these systems going to end up in one space, like all the data?
That's the end goal. Yeah, and
Okay.
that's really what we're hoping to do. Yeah.
In Linkit?
Yep.
Okay. So we're using 4 forms of assessment across all academic areas, not only ELA and math, not science or social studies.
Right.
We have no current assessment data for
No, oh, well, for science,
We only have science and JSLA for those grade levels, and then their whatever assessment, whatever unit assessments and stuff that they have in class.
so you're just using curriculum based
Yes,
assessment.
but those results will eventually be transferred to Lincoln, so when you run a report for a student, it'll have all their subjects
Okay.
and their results.
Okay.
And then our ultimate goal is you can actually import all your assessments. So like any math test
Yeah.
the kids take, we can send all of our tests to Linkit, and they can put it in Linkit. So any test the kids take can all be taken on the same platform,
Mhm.
and the information is there. And then, kind of all of it there for us to analyze in one spot, instead of trying to okay, well, what happened here, and what happened here, and what happened here. It's just
Like instead of logging to Sabis, log into H&H, it'll be like logging to Lincoln, and you take,
your test is supposed to be whatever.
Would that be something that we could look at? Would that be available in the next curriculum meeting, you think? Or no, you guys won't be ready by then, probably.
Our next training is in January.
Okay.
So I don't
So
know.
probably later in the year.
Probably the next one.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, please, yeah, as you go along, if there's questions, that's better than circling back, so that's fine. So Sonia's gonna talk a little bit about discipline and I'll let her take it away.
So, again, as you see in the district goals, we talked about revising, communicating clear, consistent code of conduct, which we have done. We have utilized the school's PBIS system, which we just had 2 parties using the PBIS reward system, and ongoing training for staff for discipline. The first thing I do want to say is I want to thank the staff for their consistent, the staff who's consistent and continue to follow through with our student code of conduct. We have seen a difference in the amount of students that have, for example, have had their phones taken away, late to class, violating the dress code, and even having charged computers. Unfortunately, we have had more HIB investigations. As you can see, where last year we didn't have any till June. We do see already we have 1 or 2 a month. And so that's something that we are looking into addressing. We're working with staff on incorporating topics that we continue to see maybe during class meetings. They can speak to students about small groups with the students. And we are also looking into a tolerance and kindness workshop with the students from our Hope Club. So we are seeing some things that we feel like students are casually using certain terms that are just inappropriate. And this is something that we are working on. So although some things are better, we do see a difference in certain things, and that's what we're gonna continue to.
Any theories of why?
I just think it's what they're exposed to. Like a lot of the hits that we're investigating are not necessarily confirmed hits.
Yeah, no, I read the last, I
But
saw.
we're investigating them because of the language that the kids are using.
Yeah,
And I mean, if you look at TikTok, you look at Instagram,
yes,
like
I was just gonna
listen to
ask.
songs, like there's just language that's thrown out there.
Yep.
And the kids are hearing it and they don't have, I don't know if it's the maturity or whatever it is, it's, to understand, like, it's just not appropriate to use certain terms or call people certain names on just a casual basis. And Sonia, Ralph, and I have made it very clear that if you use certain terms, you will be investigated.
Mm-hmm.
And if it is confirmed, it does go on your record. So we are trying to be kind of like very strict with them of how serious some of the stuff that they're saying is. Because, I mean, even if you go down to the park during the day, the way the kids talk to each other today, it's like, gosh.
And I think that there's also like where students are comfortable talking to their friends a certain way.
Yes.
So let's just say you're outside in recess, you're playing basketball, and they're like, you're trash. Well, then you get so comfortable talking to people a certain way
Yes,
that then
you can't
you may say
differentiate.
that to someone who's not your friend, and now the student is offended, and then they're upset, and then we're investigating that as well, because we have to teach you. We understand that these are your friends and you're using this type of language, but is it helping the game? Like, is this how you're going to get someone better? Like, so we kind of just have those conversations with students, but we do see a lot of that.
I'm wondering, at the beginning of every year, do you do like here's acceptable things that you can or can't say? Like in the first class, or like, hi, welcome to second grade. Let's do a, second grade 101. You can't say that. I don't know. Do we have any kind of like
Well, they have
acceptable
like,
behavior?
well, the teachers constantly, I believe, have class meetings
Yeah.
where they are having these discussions. I do feel like as they get older, some
Yeah.
things you're talking about, and you can stop the class if there is a teachable moment and something happens. Let's say someone interrupts a student
Mhm.
who's trying to speak, and or someone is the one who's always answering the questions, and someone may say something like, "Can I answer? You always," or whatever the case may be. The teachers can stop the class and have a quick teachable moment. I
Good.
do feel like this is stuff that maybe the teachers may not be hearing, but the students are reporting, which is great, because that's what we've been talking to them
Kids are
about. Like, if
actually
it's not
reporting more,
nice,
too.
let us
Good.
know, because we
Yeah.
have to address it.
There are groups of kids who beforehand wouldn't report because they didn't want to be snitches or whatever.
Yeah.
And one thing Sonia and Ralph and I have been saying is, like, there's a difference between snitching and telling, and then there's a difference between something we actually have to know and teach kids. So we do have a higher majority of students who are reporting when kids are saying or doing things that are inappropriate, which is leading to more investigations and things like that, but at least we can,
It tells you that kids know,
yeah.
they know better.
We
Right,
tell them all the time,
that's
that we can't teach you and we can't help you if we don't know what's
If we
happening.
don't know
If
exactly.
kids would come in June and they'd be like, well, they say they've been saying this to me all year. And so and I are like, you didn't tell us.
Well, 2 things. First, just attacking what you're saying. I think with HIB, it's also important to remember, like, this is all was going on when we were kids. It's just that they didn't have
Yes.
The name
like, HIB rules, right? Because I could tell you, when I was little, everybody was beating each other in the birthday. So I don't think that that's here nor there. I think that's
Yeah.
kids being kids, and we're just addressing it more.
Yes.
The flip question I have is, when you're talking about the things that have improved and that. So since you've done, like, we did all the student conduct, whatever, what about the behavior in the classroom? Has that improved, gotten worse, better? Like, what did you see?
I do believe because, I mean, just from observation going around in the classrooms, I do see a difference. I do feel like teachers are holding students more accountable because of the code of conduct. I do feel like with the cell phone policy, I think the students are not putting their phones in their lockers, but in the cell phone lockers.
That's interesting data to probably look at, like the
Mhm.
infractions on real time last year versus this year.
Yes. Yeah, we can do
And
that.
see if we have like a correlation, because I mean, all stringent, you're gonna see probably maybe an
More.
increase just because you've been
And that would be good to
implementing.
see. Mhm.
But how are the teachers feeling about like having that clear rubric to refer back to? Are you getting positive feedback or?
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's
So
helpful.
I mean, if
clarity
there's any feedback that we do receive, then we, let's say, like for example, like some of the students in the basketball team, we were feeling like they were getting really excited for the team, like really excited and doing this stuff, and we were just like, all right, you have to still do your work, you still have to do this. So we kind of put like a chart in place for our players. So it's like an athletic, and you're on task and you're doing everything you have to do for school. So, you know, if there is any concern that is brought to our attention, we remove and we plan. And so I do feel like we do put things in place if there's anything. But for the most part, I do feel like the work that they did over the summer and the communication and consistency, the teachers had that chart that they could say, look at the code of conduct, and it feels so good. It's like, what does it say in the code of conduct? Go here. And so I do feel like that's
And
been
also,
very
it's
beneficial.
just more fair for students, like, whatever is logged is there by offenses, so it's like, this isn't the first time someone is telling me this, maybe this is the second time, like, it's just more,
Pattern.
yeah, it's a consistency thing, and kids are like, there's more culpability for them to be like, oh, yeah,
And
that's right.
accountability, yeah. Well, thank you to the teachers for putting in everything on real time, right? So they can
Yes.
refer back to, that's
Mhm.
great.
I have a question, Sonia. For the kindness workshop, is that something that could be available for parents to join as well? Because I do believe that the reinforcement comes from home, and that's something we should reinforce as a school as well. So I don't know if that's something that can have a virtual option, or maybe allow the parents to come in that day and be a part of that workshop.
That
It's a good
sounds like
option.
maybe something for the students and something for the parents.
We are gonna have some parent workshops provided, through Care Plus, so it's definitely something.
And do you guys review like your character ed, like what TCCS stands for and your PBIS system and how you earn? Like, do you ever revisit that throughout the year, just so that they're like like I don't know if you guys do like in morning announcements, you guys review them.
We do say it in morning announcements. And then, I mean, I don't know what the PBIS, I mean, it's in the system, but I think when the teachers are saying, are you doing this and that? This is why they'll like talk about why you get the PBIS points. If they're doing the try hard, come prepared, things like that.
Okay.
Just one interesting data point when it comes to accountability. So I wanted to circle back to that. So since we have instituted a paid replacement program for Chromebooks, since the beginning of the year, there have only been 2 instances where Chromebooks needed to be replaced due to neglect or misuse. So that has made a huge difference because, I mean, again, I don't have the data, but it was just a constant stream of people coming in last year with needing, new computers and whatnot. So that's made a big difference, and I want to thank the parents for really kind of helping out with that as well. So it's good. So there'll be more to report on this after our next term, but again, the changes that we put into place, we're starting to see some of that, and as you requested there too, we could probably get some solid data from real time about actual discipline infractions and whatnot. So the third one has to do with increased hands-on learning opportunities for all students. So what I really want to highlight here, there's 2 things. It's obviously field trips and our STEAM studio. So the first of those being field trips. So for this year, we currently have 34 field trips booked for K to 8. In addition to that, there's going to be at least 5 more that are going to eventually be set, including Frost Valley, DC, Six Flags. So once all is said and done, we're looking at approximately 39 field trips for this school year. Last year in total, including Frost Valley and Philadelphia, we only had 22. So that is a huge difference when you talk about giving these opportunities and making that a priority for this year. Telling the teachers that we want them to take kids out on trips. So we are seeing that, and We're only a third of the way through the school year, and the trips are pretty much spread out throughout the year, which is good. But the fact that these are booked and everything else, the budgetary aspect of that, we're going to talk a little bit more in finance about that. But when we did the budget, we didn't actually have this goal in place necessarily. So that's something to keep in mind for the future. And we make it work. But it is very positive that we have seen this sort of participation from everybody. The other part of this goal really has to do with our STEAM studio, the makerspace. So since the beginning of the year, the green room, which is on the other side of this door here, it's been equipped with 3 3D printers. We have had several training sessions with staff members and representatives from each of the grade levels. And we've also equipped it with some additional furniture and things that we've decided that we need based on the supplies that kind of came with the printers and what we're going to need to really implement the program. So that's all really in place. The training's there. The machines are there. I'm pleased to say that we are now going ahead with our first actual student project. So in 7th and 8th grade, they're going to be putting together 3D games. You may have, if you have a kid in that grade level, you may have seen something from Ms. Scalisi requesting, existing board games and things like that as inspiration for some of the things that these kids are going to be doing. But it's a great step to actually see a project start to come together now that we have everything in place. So there'll be more to come, later in the year with some of the other things that we're doing. But that's, really positive to see that the ball is rolling with the 3D printing.
And Ms. Scalise, that we'd love to see them come to a
I
board
was just
meeting and
gonna say-
show us.
Absolutely.
what they
Yes.
create.
Yeah, and
That would be great.
that's something we could definitely make happen.
Okay.
And as far as just other uses in the room, we talked a lot about, really utilizing the space for the arts and for a true STEAM experience. And one of those things that I've been really kind of big on and have been able to really get it all together is like video announcements as opposed to our regular over the loudspeaker. So we're not there yet, but I will say that this afternoon our student council did use the space to record a video announcing our students of the month. So that's a step towards the right direction. Sonia is going to be releasing that stuff tomorrow and sharing that with the teachers to show their kids. But I'm just really pleased to see the space being used and we're moving ahead with that. So it's good. So,
Will other grade levels have access to that room?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
all the way down.
Especially from a STEM 3D perspective, the curriculum has been shared and set for grades 3 through 8. Some of that stuff will be turnkeyed eventually for some of the even lower grades. But yeah, as far as like video production and things like that, I would like to see anybody who needs it to use it. So that's good. Okay. Any questions on 3? All right. So for improving communication and procedures regarding special ed, I'm going to turn that over to Christina to speak to.
Sure. Some things that we've done this year is we started an August training. Every year we do like a special ed review and update training for the staff. This year was really focused on how we were transitioning from our INRS process to a multi-tiered system of support. It included also an overview of like the special ed process, links to all the manuals that we either rewrote or wrote for the first time last year. And one of the big things was kind of explaining the role of a case manager. I think a lot of what was happening is people were kind of jumping right to me and trying to like push, go talk to the case manager, So really kind of laid out like this is what the case managers are for. They should be your first line of communication, things like that. I think that has helped. So something that a lot of teachers have kind of communicated they didn't really even understand or know or. So the case managers, we have 2 brand new case managers this year, but they're both fantastic and they're very involved and really on top of everything. In terms of collaboration between general ed and special ed, when we made the master schedule, we made sure there was 1 protected common planning period a week for co-teachers. So that didn't include PLCs. It's just if you are a co-teacher in a classroom, you have a common planning period together once a week. Starting this week, I will be meeting with co-teachers and probably do it once a month. Because I wanted to meet with them regarding their planning process. So, I kind of told them, you can plan however you want to plan together, whatever works for your team. I just want to see how it's happening and is there anything I can do to kind of support it? And then looking at kind of how things are modified and differentiated. So I have meetings that I'm attending all those co-planning periods starting this week. We also started this year one PLC a month. The first PLC a month are designated for our multi-tiered system of support, because there was a lot of communication last year about not really sure about the INRS process, who's getting supports, who's doing this, who's doing that. So the first one a month, myself, Sonia, Juliana's the LA chair, Dana, Matthias, our behaviorist, our social interventions, where they are, and kind of brainstorm and collaborate on what we can do to help them there. And then case managers are now holding periodic data collection. So special ed teachers have been asked to submit their data regarding IEP goals and objectives to case managers every 3 or so weeks, so that we can keep track of where the kids are progressing. So in addition to regular report cards and progress reports, special ed teachers and case managers actually have to do progress reports related directly to IEPs 4 times a year. So 3 times within each progress report period, the teachers and the related service providers are providing data to the case manager. So it's every 3 weeks that we're kind of slightly measuring, are they maintaining, are they progressing, are they regressing, and wherever they are in that, what we're going to do to kind of monitor all of that. And really just trying, like I said, empowering the case managers they are the first line of contact for the teachers, for the parents, for communication, for me. So we are with all that.
Is that similar to 504s?
Yes and no. So 504 is the only ones that don't really have like data collection on 504s is if you get like occupational therapy or physical therapy through 504. So that is the same there. In terms of students getting their accommodations and modifications, that's something we check in with like during PLCs and stuff like that. Every year the teachers have to go into real time by the 3rd week of school and check and acknowledge that they have read every single IEP in 504, and it is something that I check. And then I do it again at the beginning of every trimester. So.
And do we check that they're implementing them, or if it's a specific goal in the 504 outside of OT and PT, they're not necessarily maintaining data on that, but do we follow up within the implementation of those accommodations, or?
So we follow up to make sure that accommodations and modifications are being provided on a daily and a class basis.
Okay.
So we have 2 case managers.
We have 2.
Have you split between upper school and middle school?
No, so our social workers here full-time, our learning consultant is part-time. Our learning consultant case manages the majority of students who are classified due to academic needs, and our social worker case manages those that are more like behavioral, social, emotional. Due to the numbers, it doesn't sound exactly that clean cut, but that's kind of how we try to break it up.
And then we have speech-only students.
And then we have speech-only students who are case managed by our speech pathologists.
How many kids on average, does each case manager have on their case? 17? Amazing.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, Christina. And finally, our last goal for the year has to do with ensuring a safe and secure school environment. So just some of the things I wanted to point out about this is obviously we conduct our regular drills and you get your notifications about that. But one thing that we did roll out this year at the beginning of the year was making sure to provide parents and the community with information about why we do these drills, what the expectations are for how we respond to various emergencies and things like that. So that was included in the handbook. It's put on the website, and that's all out there for everybody. So that's kind of new. We've got our new utility aides, which is a position that was created to assist with building security and keeping an eye on the doors and the hallways and things like that. That's actually worked out really well. So we're pleased with that new position. As far as individual protocols, we've actually made a couple tweaks based on best practice now that we have new locks on the doors and things like that, where we've updated some of the protocols we have with locking doors throughout the day and after school and whatnot. And then finally, one of the new additions that we'll be approving tonight is the addition of a security officer for events, particularly starting with basketball games. And depending on how that goes, we have the option for also utilizing it for larger gatherings like graduations and the musical and things like that, just to assist with crowd control and to have another eye on the building. So that's great. So I think that's another positive step towards really fulfilling this goal. We'll be able to have a little bit more of a reflection at our next presentation of goals in a couple months to see how it went. But things are moving ahead with that as well. So those are our 5 goals and where we've come so far. So we're definitely on pace and on track to really hopefully fulfill all these this year. But things are going well otherwise. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. And that's it for me.
Okay, so new business. I know Ms. D, the TCCEA past chair, wanted to share something. So Ms. D, you have the floor.
Just want to talk about the February event, which is Black History Month.
Mhm.
Still working on the date pertaining to that, but what my vision for that program is something like a fashion show, entertainment, music genre, in the means of educating people about the past, things that African Americans have into pertaining to really 2 different cultures. So we say hip hop will be one, the next one will be jazz and blues. We also want to do Caribbean, which is Caribbean West Indian. And so we'll have the student model some clothes. I already spoke to some clothing stores that are willing to donate their clothing for that. We want the children to be completely involved. If there are children that want to sing or dance, as well as the young ones as well from K to 2. We would love for them to, we want it to be like a time machine, right? So a time machine that's showing the different times through history. The young ones, I want them to hold a sign showing each year. So we want everyone to be included. So if you have any ideas, anything you want to input, yes.
Can you incorporate poetry as well?
Yes, it's
For the
all
writers?
arts. Yes, writers, artists, as well as you paint, you do play, if you rap, if you sing, if you do like the Eureka Cafe, how they had I would love that too
Spoken
as
word.
well. So whatever your talents are, we want that to be part of the show. So please just let me know who wants to do it.
Awesome. That sounds great.
I suggested this before, but like a lot of the dance schools in the area and a lot of the kids go here, like
Yes.
go there. But I know like 5-star,
Yep.
they do African dance,
Yes.
you know, and I know that they're always looking for.
Yeah, I spoke to them as well too, so maybe I'll make sure I reach out to them as well. FDU is willing as well to collaborate with us with that, so we have some of the FDU students helping with that as well. I just spoke to Dwight Inglewood, the private school is also willing to collaborate with that as well. So we're hoping that,
Is this going to be similar to the FDU event, like town-wide? You're going to do like
yeah.
to make all the tier
town-wide as
schools?
well.
And you're going to host it here? You're not sure yet?
We're still in the works with that. I know the high school wants to host it as well. So we're still in the works to see which direction we're doing that, whether it'll be the high school.
Awesome.
I love it.
That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll keep you posted. Okay, and Ms. Cupper, did you have something to share or that was joint? Okay,
It's a great idea.
okay,
Great events before, so
all right.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, same here. Okay, committee updates. So we unfortunately couldn't meet with governance because there was an unforeseen circumstance where we weren't able to meet. We met after the last meeting for curriculum. Okay, so we did a curriculum update and we have a communications update. So do you want to do curriculum? Oh, who wants to do it? Want me to do it? Or you want to do it, Stacy? Do you remember?
I didn't really take the notes last time because I was in my car.
So I could talk a little, we'll do it together. You can start, Sonia.
So we did have our ELA chair who gave an update about the first cycle of booths being completed, talked a little bit about iReady and Lincoln updates, data analysis, H&H, literacy night ideas that we're looking into. For example, give a book, get a book idea again like we did last year. Maybe we have an author visit possibly from one of our former parents, Lenny Ford, who's an author. And we were talking a little bit about for Read Across America for March, trying to figure out what to do. So there's a lot going on and events for Literacy Night. So those were just some things that came up during the curriculum meeting. For math, Mr. Adam was present and he gave his math chair update. He just talked about the ASAP and tutoring had started. He said math and ELA chairs had a presentation on Linkit that we spoke about before, that math teachers had Dreambox training. And again, same thing, first round of boost interventions have ended and that the next cycle will be starting soon. Then Mr. Kaido gave a GNC update about gifted and talented, about COGAT assessments, and that eligibility letters would be sent out Friday, November 16th. Social studies, Rosangela spoke a little bit about the research she was sending to teachers and that she completed the Holocaust survey. And then Inares Chair Dana spoke. She talked about the cases that she had opened, talked about the case managers checking in with teachers for progress monitoring. And Ms. Khaleesi wasn't there, but she just gave an update a little bit what Ralph said before about the training, the IBLOC curriculum training, and that the 70 students will be working on a board game design. So I think that was all my notes that I have.
Yeah. We talked about possibly doing like a school-wide read again, correlated to African American History Month. I think that was everything. We reviewed a lot of like the data pieces and talking about the action plan and the impacts of the data that we currently have. And we did talk a little bit about how the data is presented going forward, and we're going to do some more information tweaking with that, and then all this new data that we have through Linkit and everything else. Yeah, I think that was it.
And I think we also said about student presentations, more
Yes.
of that. So I think in the line with the whole 7-8 projects, I can't wait to see the students. I think that would be great for them to come present.
Yeah.
Was the letter sent out? Sorry.
Yes.
November 16th.
That's what I was gonna ask. If it was November or December, okay, thank you.
And we also talked about like writing, the curriculum writing and how we can bring special ed teachers into
Yes.
Yeah, we looked at the Holocaust curriculum, and did we look at the Amistad? And we just looked
No,
at how it was set
we were
up
just talking
online.
about, we were talking about how some of our curriculums, it would be good to like put them all in one area, because when teachers, for example, when she was doing the Holocaust survey, she had to go to ELA curriculum, find out where it was there, social studies curriculum and all the different curriculums, where if we can have it in maybe one curriculum with a little bit of finding it in one area, that was to be easily accessible. So we did talk about that a little bit as well.
And maybe tweaking some of the objectives for curriculum writers as well.
Yeah.
And more
Yeah,
accountability
it's a
with
good
that. Yeah. Thank you, Sonia, Stacy, everybody. Communications, we had a big meeting for communications. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to do it.
Sure.
Okay.
Natalie, Xiomara, and myself met on the 21st of November, and we discussed a few things to continue with our goal of building a bridge between the board and the community. We came up of an idea of potentially creating a QR code, and this QR code would link you to like a virtual brochure of bios of your board members, and just like upcoming events that we'll be a part of. We're trying to get more hip with the times now. So
You're gonna reconsider leaving now? That's cool, right?
no, she already submitted her bio.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
It's
good for a month.
So Xiomara had sent out an email requesting that all the board members submit a picture and a super brief bio, just summarizing who you are and your involvement, or just like a statement of what you believe in is your objective as part of the board, etc. And if you're part of anything else within the TCCS community. And tying into that, we are also trying to implement a new venture, which is creating sign-up geniuses for board members. Which, did anyone get an email today of a sign-up genius? I don't think it went through. I think the distribution list is internally only, which is a good thing.
That's fine.
So-
Well, so you put it, okay,
Right, I
okay.
put
No,
the actual
I thought you meant
board-
you emailed it.
No.
It would have had to come from you for
Right,
it to
it
actually go
came
out.
through the website.
Yep, oh, that's fine.
So scratch that, disregard. With that said, Xiomara mentioned, what would we think of for every school event? We send out a sign-up genius to our board members only, and you, in rotation, that's the idea, right? So we can get someone different in every event. So just participate at a table, presenting our QR code, meet and greet, explaining who you are, what you do, and that continues, which is an amazing idea. So we jumped on that, and we have a very preliminary brochure, which is a lot more complicated than we expected. So we're not ready to show yet, but we're working on that. So we will, if everyone is okay with that, submit that, soon, so that hopefully for the holiday show, we have a little table, since we're all gonna be there maybe, seeing our own kids, we can drop in for like 30 minutes for a hi, how are you, this is who we are and this is what we're working on. And we would have also, hopefully by then, a big poster board with the QR code so that parents can just take a picture. We also send out something which is a little different and new, a nice Thanksgiving letter to the community. We just want to keep having a presence in the community, not just these once a month meetings, right? And also, in your departure, so thank you, Natalie.
Fun.
Our long-term goal is continuing to work on a TCCS board onboarding member manual. We would like to put together the do's and don'ts of what a board member can and cannot do, with roles, responsibilities, explain committees and requirements. I don't think there's anything that exists that covers this, and just it'll cover like the FAQs, especially to avoid any cross-conflicting of interests within the school, as we are all, heavily involved in other things. I think that's it, right?
And one more thing was adding a board to the backpack notice that might come from us directly on what we're working on, because I think there's a lot of stuff that we do behind the scenes and people don't really know about it. So kind of sharing that information out. I'll try to get it together weekly, but because we meet monthly, I don't know how much is going to get done in that time. So we'll probably do like a once in the month backpack. Yeah, like after we have our board meetings. The goal is really to kind of educate everybody, not only on us as individuals, but what we do and what we're capable of doing. Because if you are a board member and you're in the community, sometimes you're in these situations where people don't necessarily understand what our role is. So just kind of centralizing all that information. And that vetting brochure was really a result of our board retreat, because we have so many board members that come in and they don't know exactly, it takes them a little while to get on board with everything in our procedures. So just making an easy manual for that. But yeah, that's our goal for this year through communications.
I do want to add something. Personally, as you all know, I am also heavily involved in the Musical Boosters program. So I do want to share that, just to avoid any cross conflict. I have reached out to Matt because as a result of the board retreat, they did present that there's certain things that you should not be involved in if it involves direct involvement with students or if you're getting paid anything. So I did my own research and I reached out to Matt and I explained to him everything that we're doing at Boosters, because also at Boosters, as Kaido had mentioned before, we're transitioning to call us, we have a new name that we're trying to roll out, rebranding, as well as becoming a nonprofit that I will then have to also create a board for. So my heart is in Boosters. So if that is the case and it is a conflict, I will be resigning my chair for the board. I want to make that a public announcement just so you understand where I'm going with this. It will take 15 to 45 days to explain. I have to send an email out to the School Ethics Commission. I just want to be by the book, set a precedence for everyone so that we all know the responsibility we owe to ourselves and our community and play fair in the ballgame. Okay, that's all.
Two things, I just want to say that I love the idea of the do's and the don'ts thing, because like learning so much from that retreat was like no idea that you shouldn't be volunteering for a lot of things. So like I was about to be the class parent and I had no idea I shouldn't be. So that's super helpful.
Oh, I didn't know that part. So
Well,
that's good to know.
Well, it was okay as long as you're
Yeah.
not directing students
Yeah, but
specifically.
then when you like attend the like parties that help out,
Well,
like
It was okay.
Like week at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, it just can't be the same
It's happening,
time,
like,
same
twice a
place,
month.
and directing students. That was the, yeah.
And then the other thing though is like doing the table at the event, the only thing I would want is some type of parameter, because sometimes that can turn into like parents coming up to you guys to give you all of their complaints and things that they want to fix. And it's like, we're there to say like, this is what we do and we were here to support you. You kind of don't want it to turn into, no, I'm not happy with this.
I think the best way to guide them is just say, we love to hear what you have to say. Please join our board meetings. That's the best platform where you can contribute to what your concerns are.
Usually my go-to statement is, I appreciate your feedback and I validate your concern, and I'm glad that I was able to receive that information. So like, and I do think that as board members, we do have the responsibility to hear those concerns.
Agreed.
But then navigate it to,
Now there's a line of people
right,
waiting to tell you.
right.
You can't
Part of-
So once we review the roles, then they'll get it. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I think that's a great idea to bring back manual, also just timing wise, right? Like you could be on the board for some time before the retreat takes place and not even really have some of that awareness. It just is the reality of what it is, right? But I think that it's a really good opportunity to put that together and have that up front, and then the retreat and the other things that we're able to do as a board are just going to supplement that,
Right.
right? But then it's clear from the beginning what the expectations are,
Mhm.
and your role and responsibility, right? So if there is something that you need to disclose or talk about, right? This is
How do you
this
do
is
it?
an important place to do
Mhm.
that. And I appreciate your transparency, because I think it really helps understand. Yeah.
So if any other board members want to jump on the bandwagon of the do's and don'ts, it's going to be a job. So
Yeah.
feel free.
Collaborative effort.
Yeah, so you're more than welcome to help us out with creating that. And I think that's it. That's the only committees that met. So now we're going to go into resolutions.
Perfect. All right. So I will present our 10 resolutions here. We've got our first one is the budget summary, which are all the bills that we've paid since last meeting. We've got the SBA financial report for September, which Tom had shared with everybody. We've got a number of personnel appointments. First of those being extracurricular, all tied to the musical. We have an additional resolution for some more after-school tutors. If you recall at our last meeting, we only had one and we were looking for more, so we were able to actually appoint 3 more, which is very positive. We've got a number of field trips that we need to approve that are part of that list that I had shared earlier on in our grand total. We've got a banking agreement, which is to basically restructure our existing agreement with our current bank, Lakeland Bank. Tom had kind of discussed it at length with finance in the last couple of months about what we might want to do with our banking options. So we've settled on this, and it's been shared with everybody, and that's what we're looking to get approved. We've got an event security services agreement with a vendor to provide security for larger events, starting with our basketball games. We've got the HIB report acknowledgement, which just basically acknowledges that Christina gave you all tonight's update. We've got the acknowledgement of the retirement of Ms. Shanita, as Sonia mentioned before. And then finally, we do have an executive closed session to discuss some current litigation. And those are the
When is
resolutions.
Ms. Shanita's last day?
December 31st.
Oh, wow,
Yes.
that's quick. Wow.
When was our last day? December 31st.
Sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
All right, resolution 2312-01, budget summary. Be it resolved that the budget summary for November 7, 2023 to December 4, 2023, total amount of $189,478.05 be approved. Moved by
Hallway.
Holly, moves second. Leo Justine. Okay, any questions or comments from the board? Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Lazoo,
Yes.
Vallejo Justine.
Yes.
Had not, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2312-02, SBA financial report for September 2023. Be it resolved that the TCCS Board of Trustees approve the SBA financial report for September 2023. Moved by
Hallway.
Holly, moves second. Vallejo Justine seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Lazoo,
Yes.
Vallejo Justine.
Yes.
Had not, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2312-03, personnel appointments extracurricular. Resolved to approve the following extracurricular personnel appointments for the 2023-2024 school year. Jeffrey Keitel for musical director and music director. Abby Lear, musical art director. Craig Holcomb, musical stage manager. Michelle Pixie Pierce, musical costume designer. Moved by Gonzalez, moves second. Lazoo second.
you say second?
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was like, wait, that's the wrong side of the Zoom. Okay.
Wait.
Any questions or comments from the board? Bahari,
Yes.
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Adnut, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2312-04, personnel appointments after-school tutors. Be it resolved that the TCCS board appoint the following personnel as after-school tutor pursuant of the ERSER funds availability with pay enhancement at a rate of $50 per hour for tutoring time for the 2023-2024 school year. Nicole Azari, Jean Cuffer, Rosangela Mendoza. Moved by
Always.
Holly moves, second Gonzalez. Any questions or comments from the board? I want to say thank you, guys. Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Adnut, yes, resolution carries. Resolution 2312-05, field trips. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the following field trips for the 2023-2024 school year. Arena STEM for grade 1, Climate Museums grade 7 and 8, Teaneck High School grades 5, 6, Bronx Zoo grades 3, 4, Liberty Science Center grades 2, New York Botanical Garden grade 3, 4, Museum of Moving Image grade 3. Moved by Carter moves, second. Mizzou seconds. Any questions or comments from the board?
What is the Teaneck High School trip?
Oh, yeah. That's a good question.
Would we be able to see the,
Yeah, it's for performance. They have to take a
Oh,
bus
okay.
there. Yeah.
would we be able to request when they have when we propose these, just like a blurb on the objective,
Yeah, we
So
have that
we're
in the form. Yeah, we can move. Well, I think that's part of the other discussion that we're going to have also in finance about what the approval process looks like. So if we could have a centralized sort of thing that we could share, I think that would be perfect.
just so the board knows we are talking through finance about procedures for field trips. But we weren't able to meet tonight just because of the tree lighting, so that's in the works to discuss. Any other questions or comments from the board? Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Hallway,
Yes.
Mizzou,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Adnut, yes, resolution carries. Thank you for that, Ralph. Resolution. Be it resolved that the board approve the attached agreement with Lakeland Bank. Moved by
Hallway.
Hallway moves, second.
Vallejo Justy.
Vallejo Justy seconds. Your name's a little longer. So I can say it. Any questions or comments from the board? Bahari,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Gonzalez,
Yes.
Holloway,
Yes.
Mizzou,
Yes.
Vallejo Justy,
Yes.
Adnut, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2312-07, Event Security Services Agreement. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the attached agreement with AX9 Security, Inc. to provide security services for home basketball games for the 2023-2024 school year. Services for any additional events will be billable under the same terms. Moved by
Carter.
Carter moves, second. Adnut seconds. Any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah. Is this like a volunteer? Is this support supplemented by the town?
No, this is we're paying a security company. Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the agreement that we're actually approving here. It's an hourly rate, but all of their security officers are fully vetted. Actually, earlier today, I shared more information too about the security background clearances and things like that they go through, so that there's no questions about that. Yeah. So again, it's a new for us, but again, in talking, this goes back to even last year about some of the things that we wanted to do for this year in terms of security personnel. This is a step towards that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Sure.
Is it a certain number of personnel per?
So right now the agreement is just one per game. And again, this we're just sort of dipping our toe, and we're going to see how it works out. We'll have a better idea of what our needs are for other larger events, graduation, musical, things like that, depending on some of the experience that we have.
What line does this come out of?
Other purchase service. Yes, thank you.
Other purchase services? Okay. Any other questions or comments from the board?
So in these events, they have their own protocol for what to do, or like what sort of protocol?
Yeah, so they have. There's actually, if double check the proposal I sent to you guys, it actually shows their entire like training chain of command. The very first day, they're going to actually send a manager to meet with us about what our specific needs are, so that they can kind of set that up with them as well. I mean, it's only 6 games, I think, but some of the things that we're going to be looking at is really just crowd control and making sure people leave when the event's over. And also just making sure that people aren't overcrowding or encroaching some of the spots in the in the actual gym. So it's a work in progress, but we've been in contact with the with the vendor. They actually came. They did a walkthrough of the entire building, because we did talk about how we have other larger events and quiz bowl and things like that throughout the building. But they provided us with basically their thoughts and their plan for dealing specifically with the gym, without getting into too many specifics about what they may cover. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hallway?
Yes.
Mizzou?
Yes.
Vallejo Justy? Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2312-08, HIB report acknowledgement. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees acknowledges the receipt of a report from TCCS HIB Specialist Christina Anders on December 4th, 2023. Moved by
Carter.
Carter, moves. Second.
Hallway.
Hallway seconds. Any questions or comments from the board? Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hallway?
Yes.
Mizzou?
Yes.
Vallejo Justy?
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries. Resolution 2312-09, acknowledgement of retirement. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees acknowledge the retirement of Shanita Strawn, Administrative Assistant, effective December 31st, 2023. Moved by
Hallway.
Hallway, moves. Second.
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. So just want to say thank you to Ms. Strawn for 25 years of dedication. And we wish her the best, and she will be missed.
Yeah, I mean, I echo that. Obviously, we've worked with Shanita for a very long time. Sonia and I both having been here for 20 years now, 2021. So
Is
it's
that it?
that's it. Yeah. It's not about us, all right. But I really just want to take this opportunity to really thank Shanita for all the help that she provided us, specifically during the transition years. When we moved from other positions and moved into administration, there was a couple years of turnover with a lot of different sort of leadership and whatnot. And she was one of the constants, and it really, her knowledge of the lottery process and enrollment and working with the town, that's been a very valuable, role that she's played in terms of our communication with the district. So we want to thank her for that, and she will obviously be missed.
And you have her number. You could text her if anything.
Right.
Any other comments or questions? No? Okay. Bahari?
Yes.
Carter?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Hallway?
Yes.
Mizzou? Vallejo Justy?
Yes.
Hadnot, yes. Resolution carries.
Before you go into closed session, open public comment.
So any public comment regarding the resolutions? Any public comment just in general? No? Okay, yes.
I just wanted to thank everyone that helped out for the last cultural event. I couldn't do it alone, but I appreciate the time, the dedication to all the parents who volunteered, showing the cooking, how to make movies, just about their culture was much appreciated.
It was a fun event. I was sad to miss the Hispanic Heritage Month, but it was fun, the last one. So we look forward to the next one. Any other public comment? Yes.
I was a little bit late, so I missed the list of trips, field trips and so forth. Have we had any field trips to the United Nations? With the school?
No, with school and slave, right?
Just so I in the future, I guess I'll take it up on another day, another time, why that would be important for me personally, in relation to my background and how we'd be able to for the kids as well. So we'll talk offline.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Good idea. Anybody else? TCSEO, upcoming events? You want to share, are the football ticket, mania tickets still out there for people to
Oh, yeah,
purchase?
you know what? I'm discounting the ticket price now to $10. So if you
Okay.
wanna buy a Football Mania ticket, I'm selling it for
$10.
$10 now.
Okay.
Oh, and then also, the holiday shop is coming up, so make sure you send money with your children.
Okay, send in money and buy football mania tickets. We got it. Any other public comment? No? Okay, so our last resolution, be it, resolution 2312-10, closed session, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees go into executive session to discuss litigation matters, moved by Gonzalez moves, second. Carter seconds. And we are going into closed session
8:12.
at 8:12. The thing that if we come back, it's not, it might not necessarily be a vote.
There's nothing to vote, yeah.
Okay,
that's-
so there'll be no vote after this closed session.
Correct.
So thank you, everybody who came and tuned in. See you next month. That's this one.